Hello and welcome back to Blackfeather Guild. We're going to do our Sci-Fi Saturday today, starting with the Void Cavalcade. It's going to be our third episode. Really looking forward to seeing what this crew gets up to, because they're getting, from what I understand, they're getting their first ship today. So this is the ship they're going to be able to upgrade and do cool stuff with. So I'm excited to see what they do. Before we go meet the cast and do all the introductions and everything, though, I want to talk real briefly just about viewer actions. So ways that you can actually participate in the game from the audience, which is pretty cool. One of the easiest ways to do so, let me just get this message in here for the tweet. There we go. Links in chat for the tweet of the game. So with that, you can actually uh, interact with it. Every 10 interactions, that's likes, retweets, and comments. A D for this game, it's an extra die. For most games, it's an extra D4. But for this one, it's an extra die in their pool to roll from. It goes to the cast and to the DM. So I believe we're about 2 interactions away from getting their first one already. So if you go like, retweet, or comment on that, that'll go towards that total. That's one of the easiest ways to interact. Another way that you can do so is through guild coins. You get those just by watching the stream. Subscribers do earn those at twice the rate. You can see a little bit of information about those right over here. You can use them to get plot points, which allow you to make little changes or additions to the game as it's happening. There's a full description of what those do down in the panels below. There's also some other things that you can do with guild coins, like highlight your message in chat and things like that. The little rainbow colored icon right below your Twitch chat box will tell you all about those options as well. And then finally, if you'd like to help support the channel financially, there's a number of different options for that. If you look at this chart over here, coffee.com/Raven or Raven.rocks will allow you to do direct donations. You can also do subscriptions or bits. And Patreon as well, which is going to be in chat. Our bar tier patrons and higher get credit source viewer actions every month that they can redeem at any point. So most of these are pretty self-explanatory, but some of them that might not be over here. The switch allows a player or a DM to have another player change their action word. So if they were going to punch something or attack something rather, and you wanted them to not do that, you could use a switch to nudge the story in a different direction, making them change that to something other than attack. And it can't be a direct synonym. Rolling with advantage and rerolls means that you roll twice and take the better of the 2 results. The only difference being with advantage, you have to call that before the fact, and with a reroll, you can do it after the fact. So the reroll is a little bit more powerful. A complication is a lot like the plot points, except that you can just type in 1 to 3 sentences of whatever you want, and we will do our best to work that into the game. Much like the plot points, complication also, the DM has the final say on what actually goes into the game, so we may edit your suggestion a little bit to make it fit better, but like I said, we'll try to stick as close as possible to what you suggest. Swap 2 players for 5 minutes means that they swap characters, so they play each other's characters for 5 minutes, and that includes the DM as well. They are a valid target for that one. And then finally, the 1-up. If a character would die or go unconscious, instead they'll come back at 1 hit point or that system's equivalent. So lots of really cool stuff that you can do. Definitely feel free to throw any of those out at any point. And let's go meet the cast. We're going to do some introductions and then jump into the game. And I will see you all after the show.
Hey everybody. How's everyone doing this morning, this afternoon, this evening? I am Jay, and I will be GMing this afternoon in my case. I am a GM, a writer, and a bunch of other things amongst that, as well as a hot mess this morning, it turns out. So yeah, let's meet the rest of the cast while we're at it. There's nothing really I have to add. So let's start off with Econorlax. Tell us who you are and who you're playing.
Unmute. Hi, I'm Econorlax. I'm mostly here at Blackfire Guild or on Twitter, also as Econorlax, either talking about TTRPGs or playing them. And today I'm playing Meeps, the weird but friendly alien that has no idea why the folks around them are always shocked by things Meeps does.
Perfect. And then rolling on to Polished.
Hi, I'm Polished, and today I am playing Autumn, who's a sentient birch tree in a vaguely humanoid form.
That's about as much as you really need to say, isn't it? Darkora.
Hi, I'm Darkora, and this is Dodger. I'm sorry she's on her playtime. I can't do much about it. I'm mostly here and on Twitter under the same name, but with an underscore at the end. And I'm going to be playing Eva Maddock, who is an engineer.
Lovely. And Jem.
Hi, my name is The Only Gem. You can find me under that name on YouTube for my YouTube channel, The Only Gem. And I'll be playing as Luna, a giant anthropomorphic bee.
I love hearing these descriptions. And finally, Chabi.
Hi, I'm Chabi. I go by Hallway Secrets here on Twitch, and I go by Seven Secrets over on Twitter. I will be playing Willem Sizer, the young, impressionable, really excited human pilot.
Perfect. So when last we met our party, they had just finished taking down the crime boss / black market dealer Rekus from his kind of starport castle. They managed to get away without any serious injury, though some injuries were taken during the fight. And as far as they know, they haven't been traced, tracked, or otherwise found out as the main culprits. Even in the news reports, they were not named directly. Instead, it was said members of the PAD were part of a takedown of a local crime magnate. So you've spoken with the beautiful Biff, who was your previous contractor, and he has graciously given you the option of choosing between two ships. So I'll give you the recap on what those were, just in case anyone forgot. There was a smaller ship and a larger ship. Now, I know there was some discussion on the actual size of these ships. I know the book says one thing. Some of us had different ideas, myself included. And the ships are the Ventus, which is a lightly used free merchant class vessel from a passing caravan fleet. It's a bit worse for wear. It's about 15, 20 years old, and it's seen some serious combat in some cases. The power supply is a little faulty, but it is a much larger and much more moddable ship than the alternative, which is the Steady On, which used to be a small kind of courier shuttle. So smaller ship, but it's a lot cheaper to install upgrades or other fittings to it. So we will, I'll describe those in kind of your lore universe, so to say, as well, so everyone gets a sense of what they're getting into. But does anyone have anything other pressing before we roll in? Character upgrades and anything like that? Because we did level up last session as well.
Good.
You good? Okay. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, any concerns, mechanics-wise, let me know. But otherwise, you, in your little hideout, you've kind of had the last couple days to wind down from the job, clear up any loose ends, and look through the stats on the ships. So the free merchant, for anyone who's watching and for the players, free merchants are about like a Firefly class ship. So they're larger. They can't support as many people because it's a much larger ship. You have to oxygenate and so on. I believe the max class or max capacity is 6. But we also decided that since Will, being an android, does not really consume oxygen or other life support means, they don't count towards that. The shuttle class, I believe, is 10 people. And that is a much smaller, think like almost like a semi-truck for space. That's about the size you're looking at. So much more of a passenger / cargo ship than anything. And your crew members who were, let me pull that up really quickly. Your other NPC crew members that helped you on the job were Tolas, I believe, was the Trivian that helped you out. And where have you gone? There you are.
Jay, question about life support.
Yeah.
I'm a tree.
You are a tree.
And I can use photosynthesis to live. Does that sort of mean, can I at least neutralize myself by alternating?
I would say yes. We are going to do one thing.
Hold on. If they're like basically cheap, can they just make oxygen for the rest of us to breathe?
Yeah, no, I'm not that productive.
No.
I can use both forms of breathing. Yeah. So provided I can find like a freaking UV lamp or something.
That's basically what I was going to say. We'll have you spend like, a handful of credits or something, and you can just install UV lighting strips around the ship.
Could we combine your quarters with like a hydroponics setup?
That's another thing I was going to push for.
I figured,
the upgrades.
So I will say,
I'm not sure how many.
I would say, I'd say you neutralize, or otherwise you're kind of like, you're like a zero sum in terms of life support.
Okay.
Things that I'm sure the game did not consider. So effectively, you have 3 crew members, 3 players at least, and then you have room for basically 3 more. Now, in terms of actual room, somebody might be sleeping on a couch until you can install a proper bunk for them if you get everyone in. But you could probably take almost everyone or everyone if you increase the life support, which is, I think,
I mean,
quite cheap.
Eva will probably be happy with just having like a hammock in the engine room, to be honest.
Fair, yeah. Okay, so I did make an agreement, or at least a suggestion with Chabi. What did you think of installing kind of a recharge bay a la like 7 of 9? And instead of using life support, you would then just have, we'd take 1 power from the ship, and that would be your charge bay.
A, I love 7 of 9.
Mhm.
B, I think it's a really good idea, but
Okay.
I might be biased.
That's fair.
I'm in favor of this.
Yeah, I don't think it removes anything from the game, and it just means that we have a mechanical reason why you don't take life support.
I would say that with shuttle, 1 power would be okay, but with the trader, it would be pretty excessive.
I think that's the other way around, isn't it? The shuttle was like 4 power. Let me double check.
No, because both the power and the mass are.
You're saying it should take less of an.
Units are not constant between classes. Each class operates in units 10 times bigger, both for mass and for volume and for power.
Mm-hmm.
So a system that takes 1 power on the trader,
I see what you're
in
saying.
fact much more energy consuming.
Right, like the scale of it is much bigger.
Yeah. So 1 power on the trader would be good for 10 Willems.
Okay. Well, I tell you what,
on shuttle is good.
We'll treat it like a mod then, rather than using one of the power base, but we'll still require some kind of either credit or other cost to it. We'll figure that out as we go. But that's a good point. That's a good point to bring up, because that is a lot of that's effectively like installing a gun on the ship. that's a hell of a lot of power.
Ship to ship gun.
Yes, yeah. Jeez. Okay.
Objective a gun to the ship.
Solid call on that. I am not against doing that. But yeah, you've got Tollus. You have got who the hell else did you have?
I've got the list. We've got Fret and Weirin, the human diplomats.
Yep.
Europe, the Arcadian tech specialist, and Tychus, the Gentai.
Tychus, that's right. I knew I was forgetting someone.
You always forget Tychus.
I don't know why. I think I added him in, and it's kind of a last minute addition, and then I just blanked.
Aww.
I'm so sorry, Tychus.
I think entire party agrees that Tollus is a must.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always the throwaway characters, isn't it?
He's the comic relief.
Well, it's just so I can do a funny voice. That's really all it is, isn't it?
That's what we want, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, just pray you don't get any frog people on the ship, because I do a pretty mean Kermit if I do say so myself. So
everyone, our next mission is searching out the frog people.
Yeah.
And recruiting them.
Episode 4,
Welcome
the
to
search
the
for
Swamp
frog.
Planet. My name is Arnold. Arnold's Froginator. So
moving right along, we gotta right on the highway.
Oh my goodness!
Your way was my way, so trust your navigation.
Today is going to be a bit of a gong show, just so everyone's aware. We may not even get past getting the ship sorted out. Who knows? So you have access to the starport now. The starport is now under kind of how would you claim
Friendlier
that?
terms?
Yeah, friendly
Under new
terms.
management?
Yeah, new management. So it's kind of like a People's Republic taking over it until there's a new manager of it. But a lot of the people that still work there. So Zelensky is still working in the hangar. And
governments change, formats do not.
Exactly. Exactly.
Be a bureaucrat, people.
Yeah, it's just a new head. That's all it really is. But you can go and talk to Zelensky, and you could also requisition the use of the starport services to reduce the cost of building any modifications, because there are some modifications that don't need what the game defines as pre-tech components, which are basically components that no one can make anymore. They're kind of like ancient and or too advanced to really replicate.
And
these would
obviously, we have the benefit of Autumn's tinker ability.
Yes, exactly.
Just discreetly put that in chat.
Mhm.
So does that mean that it's reduced to a quarter price, or is it only halved once?
So what's the
Is it-
ruling on the mods versus fittings?
So mods versus fittings is an interesting thing. So fittings will be things like the hydroponics bay or boarding tubes. These are actual fixtures within the ship. Whereas a mod is literally just you fine-tuning aspects of the ship itself. Mods will be things like reducing the amount of space that's taken up by certain things. So if you have a cargo bay, you can make it more efficient, basically. Or if you have ship ammunition stores, you can have twice as much ammunition in those things. They're more passive benefits than actual mechanical using things. I need to look up on hydroponics bay because I can't remember if that increases life support or not.
I think it does. Or
well,
whether it's reducing like
equal to the ship's
entire-
maximum.
Yeah.
Entirely replaces it, but it requires ship cruisers are so bigger.
Yeah, we're gonna make that work for a frigate. Much as the
Okay,
game wants it to be.
I'm part of the hydroponics bay.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like,
That's Autumn's room.
Yeah.
Pretty
That's
much,
Autumn's
it's-
room most of the ship. Like I imagine it kind of like a botanical garden. You know, you
I
walk
wouldn't
through the
go.
ship and it's
I
just
think it's
humid.
more. You've seen those like post-apocalyptic, like nature is crawling back in type
Mhm.
images. It's that sort of mixture between like, you know, a spaceship that needs to be fixed up and me just putting plants in weird places.
Right, like kind of wall
Um,
planters and things like that.
Exactly. So
I dig it. We could fix that bent panel, or what if we
Yeah.
put
Just shove some dirt in it and
What
put
do you
some
mean it's
chips in
fixed?
there.
just put some vines over it? No one will know.
Yeah,
it's sort of Autumn's
It's-
weird combination of tinkering, programming, and plant obsession.
I love it.
Yes,
It's like, oh, that's an old
Eco
computer
Life
monitor.
support.
I've got
Eco
I've got
Life support.
seedlings in there.
I love that. So yeah, you can requisition the starport if you want to use that in terms of building modifications, because again, there are modifications that don't require these special components to be made. I think there's about 3 or 4 of them that are quite good. One of which might interest Will, is emergency thruster support, and it gives you plus to speed for a couple of turns during ship combat. So if you need to
Uh-oh.
make a hasty
Mhm.
retreat, that might be a good one. It's actually quite cheap as well.
It's okay. We can't be sniped
Yeah,
through our
that's
own
true.
windows.
Well, you think that. I don't know. Somebody else might have a crazy sniper on their team too. Not that we're going to go full Firefly, but it is an inspiration. So, yeah,
But can this sniper fly?
yeah, that's true. That's a good question, though. And this is kind of, I'll pose this to the chat as well. Do you think bees can actually fly in space? Or do they need air to like push around?
I think they need air to push around.
Yeah.
It's kind of how
Yeah.
aerodynamics works. Like with a
Well,
fire
I
extinguisher,
mean,
you
It's
could.
like a human
Everyone
can't
can fly
really
in
swim
space.
No,
so-
well, listen. If a bee
Why?
could launch his little fat body off the ground with his tiny wings, it could probably fly in space too.
But that's because there's air around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no pressure in space for you to
Yeah, there's
actually
no resistance
push around in.
to.
But bees don't care, so they fly anyways.
We'll
What are
see how it
physics?
turns out. If you want to EVA with
What are
us
bee
without,
physics?
yeah, we'll try that out.
We'll just
So-
get you like some sort of thruster pack because you're the one. who
Yeah, exactly.
experienced
Get
flying.
a cluster
Exactly.
pack and it's fine.
Yeah.
So Zelensky is more than happy to help you with that. But what do you all do? What do you want to do? Because I think as a crew, I don't know if you've decided fully what the ship is, or have you? Or what ship you want to choose, I should say.
I think
I'm-
Autumn is just so excited at both possibilities. She cannot stop talking about all the things that can be done to modify both ships. And obviously, like, even if she doesn't get a formal hydroponics bay, she's going to fill this thing with plants where possible. Argue that, oh, look, it produces oxygen. It's good for you.
Yeah.
Not on my engine, Autumn. Not on my engine.
Oh, they will absolutely get there eventually.
Just keep it away from moving parts.
It's worse than cats. They just get in everything.
Luna's like
Mips
probably
is Mips is most excited by the crew, by the party's excitement, not by the ships themselves.
Nice.
Luna's like probably thinking of a way to like come up with a good color scheme to like think of what to put on the ship. Like maybe put like pictures of everyone's on the side of the ship, or like put like some like space or something like that.
Imagine sort of remember on those like old fighter planes where there was like pinups
Oh,
painted
yeah.
on the side.
Yeah.
It's
bunch
like
of
a
hash
very
marks.
mildly
Lu's-
suggestive bee.
No, Lu's like, everybody stay there and post while I paint this on the ship. Do not
Oh,
move
nice.
or else you're getting stabbed.
It's just Luna doing this pose, just like you like jazz.
No, I won't. No, if possible, I want Luna to do that on the ship. Like
Totally.
Luna, like,
100% you can do that.
You like
Oh my
jazz?
god. As long as you name the ship something punny as well. That's
Oh dear.
that is another thing. You can't
That's just a
rename the ship.
given.
Don't give us ideas, Joe.
No, I'm gonna give
You
you all
don't
kinds
know
of
where it's gonna
ideas.
go.
Nope, and that's why I'm excited.
Everyone's gonna hate Luna, but like, why you like this? You shot a hole in the ship we first flew. Now you're
Yeah.
doing now you're doing this.
Let's be real. You're all a bunch of misfits, and
Absolutely.
and I'm absolutely here for it.
They're all a bunch
Yeah.
of crack. They're all a bunch of crackheads.
Yeah, you're all nuts. It's okay. So
So Will's kind of like bouncing back and forth between the ships, just kind of
Okay.
like appraising them.
Mm.
It definitely gravitates more towards the larger ship. Being from a caravan, it just kind of like has a homier feel.
you've seen these
To
kinds of
him.
ships before, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Whereas the shuttle like just kind of seems maybe a little cramped.
I think
What you want to do?
Does
with it?
weirdly
Yeah.
enough have more living space though. The
Yeah,
shuttle, right?
No, not living space so much as more powerful life support.
Yeah, it's a
Because-
weird distinction.
Yeah,
Because the trader has several hundred cubic meters of free
Yeah.
volume. to
Yeah,
use
it's
as
kind of it's like
cargo bay.
pressurizing a small box versus pressurizing a large box with different compartments in it. You can get 10 people's worth of air in a tiny box, even if it vents and then refills really quickly. But if you're trying to say, it's like the difference between a van and a house, right? If you're trying to heat a van, that's not hard. If you're trying to heat a house, it takes a lot more energy and a lot more time to get it working.
What is this internal heating of which you speak?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. It's winter where Polished is, so that means it's quite chilly.
This is my winter jacket. That's not a bathrobe.
Yeah, so it's single digits there. And where I live in Canada, in winter, if you don't have central heating, you'll die. You will die. You know, ice will creep in through the windows. Your coffee will freeze.
We're just like stubbornly ignoring the fact that hypothermia is actually a threat in winter.
No, it's like that picture with the dog with the fire around them. And you're like, this is fine.
Yes,
yeah,
oh my
except it's like
God.
ice.
Instead it's
and
ice, yeah.
Snowmen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's made a snowman in the corner.
This
So
is
let's
fine.
just say I hope your ship has internal heating because
Me
No.
too.
Hey, listen, Luna's fluffy, so if you're just huddle around her to feel the.
oh my
fluff.
God,
Yeah.
you all just have this, like electric fireplace in the center of the den.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cute. That's a cute mental image.
yeah.
So-
Sorry, Eva's leaning towards the larger ship too,
Okay.
for want of the challenge of
Mm.
preparing a better, a bigger ship.
Mhm.
Luna's leaning towards the larger ship so they have more space to paint on it.
Bigger canvas, yeah, sure.
Yep.
And the world's your canvas, you are the paintbrush. Make what you do with it.
But you mostly use red.
Mostly,
With the blood of your enemies.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's where I was going. Yeah.
The more enemies you have, the more paint you get. So it sounds.
It's
correct
very
me if I'm wrong.
economical.
Yeah,
And plus the paint's scented.
it's recycling. Okay, well that went weird. So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like we're going towards the free merchant. Any
Yeah.
objections?
Mm.
Okay, that sounds like a unanimous.
Mm. Look, we're excited about playing around with it.
Yeah, of
not
course.
about the ship itself.
No, of course. So yeah, you get the free merchant, the Ventus. Again, you can rename it, paint it. You can do basically anything you want as long as you've got the funds and the time. It is fitted out with all your general nicks and knacks. It's got its own comm system. It's got life support. It's got standard drives for atmosphere and for space, so you don't have to worry about that. It also has a ship's locker, which is, to use the term, just looking at the Zoom chat. Okay,
I love that we're all so focused today.
yeah, totally. We can definitely rename it the THICCBOY. Yeah, is that a special thing from where you're from?
Yeah, it's in Eva's like home dialect. It means very pretty.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Acronyms are important in space.
Yeah.
So just gonna blow right past that. We what was I going? Oh, the ship's locker, which is effectively like a Mary Poppins bag worth of things that you would normally have on a ship. So you've got your
Fantastic.
complement of weapons, you've got spacesuits, you've got all the nicks and knacks of a mundane space crew would need on a day-to-day basis. So you don't have to worry about, oh shoot, did we buy like 5 pints of oil? And this it does away with the D&D standard of 20 hours of
No
shopping.
counting of rations and torches.
Exactly. And rations I'm not even going to worry about. If you're stuck in the middle of space, chances are you're worried about a lack of air, not a lack of food. You can eat protein paste for weeks. It's not pleasant, but it'll do. And you also have hydroponics gardens, so you know. So let's figure out costs and time for what you'd actually like to do. So tell me what you'd all like to do in terms of upgrading or retrofitting or changing the ship. Is there any repair you want to do? Because it does need some repair to the power supply, to the hull, and to the there was one other thing here, and basically to the armor class as well. So there's some external repairs to be done, and then some rewiring and refitting of the power core.
Eva would definitely want to do as much of that as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hull and shielding especially.
Yeah, fair.
Definitely. Yeah.
After the last incident, I definitely will prioritize the hull.
Mm-hmm.
And I will pointedly lecture Luna about the whole sort of, this is how a vacuum in space works. So if there is a hole, it's a problem.
Listen,
sort of the occasional snide comment.
Listen, you weren't that high up, and I basically helped you guys.
Yeah.
So don't give me that talk, or I will throw you into a fire.
Oh my goodness. Oh, someone's getting vented out of the ship. I'm calling it now.
Just change the U or the I Inventus to a U, and you got it.
Vent us.
Yes.
We'll be where you need us. So
yeah, yeet.
where the hell is spaceship repair? Modifying and tuning, maybe maintenance repair. There we are.
Yeah.
So most of their repairs, 1 ton of cargo space. That's fine. There we go.
Repairing hull systems, 1,000
fixing
credits
hit
per
points
point.
can be done. Yeah, 1,000 credits a point. With up to the presiding engineer's fixed skill repaired in hit points every day. Okay. So you'd have to spend 2,000 credits to fix the hit points. I'd say another 1,000 for the armor class because that's kind of the same thing. And that will be whoever's fixed skill. I would say we can do one person's fixed skill, and if someone else is aiding, we'll add half of their fixed skill again.
Do we roll for it,
So
or
For this is just a stat. It's just a stat.
Okay.
My
My fix is +2.
+2. Okay.
my fix is a 1.
Yeah,
but if
so
I
we'll round
use
up.
something else, like
since you have Tinker, I will count that as a 2. So we'll basically say you can fix all of that in basically a couple of days, giving the starport's kind of facilities and the manpower. You've got people that can actually help you along with it, so that will make up for some of the credit cost. So let's say 2,500 credits and a couple of days, and you can have the hull and the armor class repaired. Yeah, we'll do some budget calculations in the Zoom chat so we can keep everything in check. And I'll have a calculator open for it as well. 2,500 credits so far in 2 days. What else do you want to do? There's the power supply, which I would say...
That seems relatively critical.
Yeah, it wouldn't cost as much. I'd say it probably costs 750. So
okay,
a quarter less from hull repairs, and that would just be another day of fixing. So
how long to fix all of the things? How long would it take, and what would it cost us?
3 days and 3250.
Cool.
split between 5 of us.
Split
Well, don't
between 5 of you.
we also have the budget out of the thing?
You do, yeah. You still have 50 grand to kind of use either for ship repairs, ship upgrading, or any other fitting. You're
I
kind of got like a. Go ahead.
Honestly, I
have
think we
around-
should just repair everything if we can.
Yeah, yeah. Let's get this as
650
repaired
a
as we can.
person.
Sorry.
And we have also probably 50 on our sheets.
Yeah, you
if
had
we
you.
want to.
I believe
around.
everyone got 5 grand. Was it last? I think it was 5
I
grand.
think so.
Also,
Yeah, it was 5 grand.
I'm at 10,000 credits because I've been
Nice.
I'm at
picking up money.
9,180. So
Yeah.
So it'd be 650 every person if you divide 3250 by 5.
yeah, might as well just save that 50 grand for full upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
happy
so
with
yeah,
that.
you can spend 3 days. Everyone just remove 650 credits from your sheets, and you'll have the Ventus back up and running more or less how it should be.
650.
You can also, I'll say you won't have to. We'll include the cost of painting in that cost, so you can easily do whatever repainting, murals, other ship name painting you want to do. So you are back up to 10 power, 14 armor class, and 20 hit points on this big old boat, and you have 13 mass and 10 power to work with. What else do you want to do? Hydroponic production,
Mhm.
10k.
Oh, and that's also
Out of the 50.
Okay.
no, that's also problem with the multiplying by 10.
It is, yeah. So these are the base costs for a shuttle.
I've
Okay.
made a spreadsheet.
Yeah, if you want to post that in the chat there. For hydroponic bay, it'd be 100k,
Ooh.
but
takes into account the ship class. Copy
But
link.
half the cost for being at a starport, and then does it count as modification or
it counts as a fitting.
damn it?
Yeah,
So it's only half.
it's all right. So let me just double check on Tinker. I think that's. Now, I will say, if you want to spend more time, you could easily start manufacturing fittings. I think there is something in the book for that. I will look that up in a moment.
Yeah, like I'm happy for it to take a while,
Mhm.
obviously because it's my selfish priority. And Autumn, knowing her, she tried to build this gradually if it was an inconvenience to anyone else.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, even if you don't build it now, you can easily build it kind of on the go. I'll probably just tweak the way modifications work and allow you to build fittings. It'll just take a lot longer because they're obviously more expensive. Trying to build a hydroponics bay inside of a ship will take some time.
Mm.
But yeah, I'd say
We're doing it.
Changing
So
class
like
won't work.
if you want me to do that sort of gradually and suddenly, where did this hydroponics bay come from? It's like,
Well,
just a
yeah,
project.
it's just slowly been growing over time. Like, why are there vines coming out of the ship?
Exactly.
Oh, we should look at the time. Look at a skedaddle.
Yeah, just melds
Yeah.
into the wall.
Just like I'd probably start with like, UV lamps for my personal,
Right.
and then that would also just mean that I can start putting plants in random places, and at some point it will become a hydroponics bay.
It sounds right to me. Yeah.
Be careful not to leave some flowers out in the opening, or Luna might go and eat them.
Mm.
Oh no. Oh no,
Mm.
you come in late at night and find Luna with
Yeah.
your flowers.
You just hear this munching sound down the hall with a flashlight. Like, what is? And there's Luna like a goblin just eating flowers.
I wasn't going with munching. I was thinking what else bees do with flowers, but
Oh well, that's
Yeah,
it.
I'm just
Mm.
like, this
No.
could get very creepy very
Yeah.
quickly.
I wasn't gonna go there.
No, listen.
Rolling
you see,
around
like-
in them. That's it.
No,
Yeah.
That's all that's happening.
no, it's like bees have like those like long tongues that shoot into like flowers to suck the nectar. You see that, but it's very
Yeah,
creepy when you
that-
see a giant bee do it. Like,
Oh my
Just-
god. It's like
And you
a
should-
frog.
and she just slowly turns around creepily, like when she's caught. Like, you saw
Just does like the
nothing.
side eye contact. Just
Only.
You saw nothing, and then they're like backing away from the door with their hands up, like,
Oh
no, I
God.
didn't see nothing. I'm gone. Nope.
Nope,
well,
nope,
we need to
nothing
burn
bad.
those now.
Oof.
And then someone's trying to make like a frame an amnesia
Uh,
ray so like to forget what they just saw.
It's going to be pretty minimal in terms of UV lamp cost. Let me see if
Hmm.
there's something that's close to it in equipment, but it's probably going to be less than 100 credits each, to be honest.
Like, I'm happy to cover that again
Yeah.
because it's
let's
effectively
see.
neutralizing my need for.
Because there is something for a light panel
life
in
support.
here. Where the hell did I see that?
I just love the hyper-specific questions we
Yeah.
all have.
Yeah.
I'm totally for it. I love it.
I have two.
Okay.
Because Mips doesn't really care about the ship, but Mips likes idea of plants, so Mips is interested in two things. Is the soil on this planet of any use? Or are there any native plants Autumn is interested in Mips could dig out for her?
So
Aw.
the soil here is not amazing,
Ah.
but there is a local fauna that you could get. Yeah. We're gonna say they call it Goldilocks here. And it grows specifically, they call it that because it actually has gold flecks on the flower petal, kind of like how you'll see some certain flower species and some certain plants will have that powdery kind of coating. It's like that, but it's essentially gold flecks. Obviously, there's not enough in there to make it worthwhile to refine, but
No.
it is a beautiful kind of plant. We'll say it grows kind of like a sunflower, so about a meter and a half stalk, and then branches out into 3 separate heads that all kind of align like solar panels.
More heads, more nectar.
Nice.
Okay, so Mips will organize somewhere when the pots are ready.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, we'll say for outfitting the whole ship, we'll say like 300 credits.
I'll cover the cost of that. It's
okay.
my very selfish.
Yeah. And we'll include the cost of like beds and soil and stuff like that, because that's pretty easy to get out here.
I got a question. Is there any nearby like art supplies stores anywhere?
Yeah. I mean, they make all kinds of pottery and other things like that. So there's tons of art supplies on this planet.
Luna's about to go on the biggest shopping spree ever now.
Oh no!
I mean, it's the most money you've ever had, so I can't imagine what you're going to spend it on.
Let's imagine them come back with like an alien version of a giraffe. They're like, "Why did you get that impulse? Like, you guys are like 90% of my impulse control."
That was me. I allowed you to tinker with a ship, and this is because I've never gotten the chance to actually tinker with a ship in a game. So it's really just me living out my dream through you. So we have a hydroponics bay that we're going to either sort out on the fly, or we're going to sort out at least parts of it beforehand. We have some painting. We're going to get some other plants for the hydroponics bay. What does everyone else want to do?
Eva will be focusing on just trying to get the engine to the absolute best condition, engine and power distribution to just the best condition she can.
Okay.
Like, if she's not happy with that, it's not something she's flying in.
Fair.
That's kind of her attitude. So. Okay.
Yeah. So you spent some extra time on it. Let's say, because there are example Starship mods. So that's page 109, 113 for the PDF reader.
Okay.
But if you don't see one in there that you like, or that you want rather, we can just make one up and kind of fix it to one of those.
Let me just get.
So there is engine optimization.
I don't have the P. I will be doing that definitely. I just realized I don't have the PDF open. Sorry.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Starts without numbers. 3. There we go. 109, 113.
Anything that has a component cost to it, you won't be able to do right now because you don't have access to those kinds of components. Airplanes, want to leave them around. That's cute. Yeah, 100%. We can do that. Those you can find pretty much anywhere.
Okay, yeah, definitely the engine optimization.
Engine optimization does cost a component, unfortunately, but emergency thruster boost does not.
Okay, we'll do that one then.
Okay, so 10% of
page is that on? Because
for the mods,
yeah, because I can only see
PDF 109.
PDF 109 for the reader. It should be 113, but
that's right.
Yeah, depending on what reader you have, it might display it differently. But yeah, when it says cost, that'll be 10% of the hull cost. So what the Starship hull costs, and for a free merchant, I believe it's 100K, or is it? No, hang on. No, it's more
That's
than that.
The 250.
250. Thank you. No, 500 actually. For a free merchant, it's 500. So 10% of that is 50K. But mods can be made if you have a Starship Services. you can do 25 grand worth of cost per day, kind of like the old crafting system in D&D, where you spend so much time and credit worth crafting a thing without actually spending credits. So in this sense, you're basically cannibalizing some of the other junkers in the bay to make this mod.
Okay, so...
Oh, also 50% off, that's right. So that would basically take you a day if it is 10% of the cost. Jeez.
Okay.
We're just stacking all the bonuses on this. I love it.
If only I'd got Tinker as well, then it would be half again.
Yeah.
Why
Does
didn't
Tinker
I?
say anything about components, or is that a level 2 skill part of it? Defense modes.
I've only written down level 1, I think.
So
and
if
at
somebody-
level 2, it's components as well.
It is, yeah. That's cool.
So
One
those
fewer
that
prefix
require
salad.
2 now require 1. Those that require 1 require 0. Okay.
Yeah. So if you have a level 2, good.
As for our crew, do we take everybody? Can we take everybody? We have 3 rooms left.
3 rooms left. Yeah, I would say if you, because there is a life support mod under
No, but
Go ahead.
We'd be happy to get one.
I'll just see what the cost is on it. It's pretty light, I think.
No, as a mod, not as a fitting. Like boosting.
Oh, just to have like just enough for one more person. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I wouldn't require a component cost for it. So extended life support is 5K for a shuttle, which is what did we say? What is it? Yeah, 50. Okay. So yeah, we'll say if you spend let's just say another like 1,500 credit to make that mod. That one's going to be a specialty build, so I'll say yeah, 1,500 credit total, and you can have enough to get all your NPC crew members on there as well.
Can the NPCs also contribute to the ship if they got paid?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of their stipulation. Tolis is happy to come along without pay, but the others are, as long as they get paid, they're happy to run the ship or kind of maintain it while you're away, things like that.
So, well, was it the emergency thrusters that you were interested in? Or was it something else?
I think that was the one, yeah.
Emergency thruster boost is the +2 bonus to speed for 3 rounds.
Yep.
That's 10% of hull and no components. So how much would that set us back to?
10% of hull would be 50 minus half, so 25. It'd basically be a day. So I think with that and with the, what was the other one you had? There was another one you wanted to do, wasn't there? Am I crazy? I might be crazy.
We're talking about extending life support. We've talked about a hydroponics bay. We've talked about emergency thrusters and engine optimization.
Engine optimization, right.
Yeah, and that's the one that takes components, I think.
Yeah.
As far as hydroponics, I saw the fitting. Hydroponics support? No, production. Hydroponics production. Which looks like it extends life support, like by extension.
It produces it produces food and oxygen.
Yeah, if you get it a second time, it will double the amount of people you can support. But as it stands, getting it the first time just means that you won't ever run out of oxygen unless there's a giant gaping hole in the side of the ship, basically.
Yeah, but we don't have to like resupply.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're stuck in the middle of space and you run out of power, you'll still, provided the bays are still running, you'll still have, air.
Okay. What do we have weapons-wise?
Weapons-wise, I would say it comes with a. Let me look at the weapons here. It's not going to be like well outfitted.
The standard.
There's
one?
also on spreadsheet.
Okay.
I added everything.
Fighters. I hadn't actually looked. I knew I should have looked at these, but I haven't actually looked at them yet. Holy crap! Some of these cost 2 million. Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense. Okay, so there are frigate class weapons.
So let's see. Thought I saw the basics for like the example free merchant.
I'm going to say it's probably a flak battery.
Weapons. Okay.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
I think Gem just dropped.
Oh,
from the
yeah,
phone.
there we
There
go.
we are. Okay.
Zoom's still giving you trouble. Hopefully that didn't mess up the overlay or anything.
Temporarily, but should be back to
Okay,
normal now, I think.
perfect.
Sorry, Reagan.
So yeah, I'll say it has a FLAC battery to start with. You don't have to pay anything to have that. You just have that.
I'm back.
Perfect. Okay. And that comes fully equipped. Obviously, you know you have kind of the general fittings for a FLAC battery, but it's not seen combat for quite some time.
I don't
Wait, you mean that flag
see
battery for half a
black
million?
battery anywhere?
Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
You mean that flag battery for half a million?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or are
Okay.
you talking about the
Thanks.
sand thrower?
No, FLAC
No,
battery.
there's flag battery one.
I can't even see that anywhere. So
It's on page 103. Yeah, we'll give you that just
right.
because you do not
Just
have
turns out I can't spell flak. Okay,
Oh,
here we
well,
go.
I do. You don't have enough funds, and even pooling together with all the credit, you would not even have remotely enough funds to buy any of these weapons.
Mm.
And I don't want you to blow up your ship on the first combat.
Yeah, it's
It's bad form. All those pretty plants in the middle of space just doesn't sit right with my conscience. So we've got FLAC battery, we've got all that stuff. Oh, good, the overlay didn't get affected. So you wanted the emergency thrusters.
Yeah.
And we'll say that the mods and the fittings will take away from the budget. The repairs will not. So the repairs were just like you all cost that.
Yeah.
out.
okay. Yeah.
So emergency thruster was 25K and an extra day. So you
So
now
we still have
that.
25.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, we could. Is
So
that
did
money
we
that
wa-
we have to spend here, or money that we can sort of take with us and
That
like
is
a
money
savings
spending here.
fund?
It's kind of like credit.
Okay.
So did we went with that official hydroponic production bay?
We have it in. I've sort of slowly started spreading out my
I'll say-
plants. Is where we are at the moment.
Could potentially reinforce the armor, cost of 5% of the
That's
hull.
true.
Yeah.
I will say if you have any left over and you can't fully buy the hydroponics, I will say you could spend the rest and kind of put yourself that much closer to having it. So
I think that's what she's doing sort of personally is putting
okay.
some more bits of funds to it. I mean, it was 100,000
Yeah,
to do a full one, right? And,
yeah, which I'm going to reduce because that is A, excessive, B, because you have Tinker. I'm going to allow
Yeah.
that for fittings as well for specific ones. So for this one specifically, just because plants, like let's be real, making a hydroponics bay is not that hard for someone who's literally made of them.
Sure. Reinforced armor could be beneficial. Armor score increased by the fixed score skill of the installing engineer.
Ooh.
Plus
You
2.
could get +2 to your AC. Interesting.
And
how
it's
much
only
was this?
5%
What was
of
this?
hull.
Oh,
Reinforced
for the
armor.
armor. Yeah.
That could be the difference between life and death.
Could be. One never knows in space. We're fitting on the smallest mod, installed half the number of power. Oh, interesting. Specialized mountings is also a good one.
That's
Choose
going
a
to be
specific weapon or fitting when this mod is installed. The chosen fitting requires only half the normal power and mass per fitting installation. Interesting. Oh wow, 5K.
I don't know that we're hard up on
Yeah, that's more of a future.
those two things yet, though. But yeah.
Where is the reinforced armor?
Second column on 109.
Yeah. So
with
about halfway down.
With 5K polished, I'll say you're 1/5 of the way to getting the full fitting.
Didn't you say?
Was it 50? Hang on.
Yeah, it was 50.
It's 100 base.
Used it for Tinkerer.
So you're 1/10 of the way. My bad.
Yeah, and I'm like, I mean, I'll take a 5th, but
no, I was thinking if you'd spent the extra 25K of credit on it as well. I don't know why I said.
Oh no, this is just sort of out of my personal funds. That's how much Autumn is spending on her
Gotcha.
plant obsession.
Okay.
It's actually, it will eventually be a hydroponics bay.
Eventually, you've got to start small.
So we are not putting official funds into hydroponic bay.
I mean, you can if you want. This is just what
We
I'm
can-
putting in personally.
Mhm.
Now,
So if
Mips
there's
also wants
anything
plants.
left,
The idea of plants is anything Mips is interested in currently.
How much is 5% of our hull size?
5% of your
modified?
hull size would be 25 grand, I believe.
Okay, and then half of that for
Let me double check
for
that.
Tinker.
50, yeah, 25. That is with
So
the half.
12
With
and
the
a half.
half.
so that's
okay.
halved both for the starport and for Tinkerer.
Yeah.
'Cause I thought the other ones at 10% were 25. So it should be half that.
No, you're right.
The whole price is 250 total. 250K.
The whole price for a
It's
free
like
merchant
the
is
base
500.
hull. Oh, is it 500?
Mhm.
Okay. Never mind.
But you are right. It would be 12,500. I didn't add
Okay.
in the second half.
So we could donate the other 12 and a half towards the hydroponics, because let's face it, that benefits all of us.
It's true.
Mhm.
Fresh food in space is not a small thing.
Never to be sneezed at.
Okay, so 5K towards hydroponics. That will
So we're
require all of you to
that-
kind of decide.
So we're at 17 and a
13K
half.
in total? No, wait.
12 and a half K plus 5, so it's
Yeah,
17
so
and a half
13.
K. 17. 12 and a half K
You're
plus
right.
5K.
Mm.
I don't know why I removed a zero from that. I'm glad I'm not the only one doing math incorrectly, though. Because I'm like, no, Polish is right. It's 13.
No, I never said 13.
Oh, you didn't? Well, all right. Never mind.
So we have 17,500 out of the 50,000
Out of
it will
50,000,
take us
yeah.
in total. So we're
Yep.
almost halfway there.
Sure.
That's how I approach that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep, we'll get there.
And you spent the other 12 and a half, on
The reinforced armor.
reinforced armor? Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, get +2 to that to that armor class sounds
Yeah,
really
let
good.
me change that on my sheet here as well. And I will put that into the chat just so you all have it.
I've been trying to track it on my character sheet.
Yeah, so you can put all those stats into your character sheet's ship tab, which is up at the top. If there are any missing bits in there, let me know and we can add in whatever stat it needs. But I think that's the majority of it.
Yeah, I don't trust myself to keep
That's
track
fair.
of that. So I'll,
That's totally
if someone
fair.
else is good with it, please do go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be keeping track of it on the
So
side.
speed
So
3.
I'm just counting towards the
14.
hydroponics bay. That's
Yeah.
as far as Autumn's focus
totally
goes.
fair. Totally fair. And do add in the mods, whatever those mods are. Let me double check what my list says. So while you're all doing this, you're here for almost a week doing all these modifications. And Tolis is quite happy to help out. Ventus? No, Yurt. Ventus is the ship. Wow. So the Ventus is helping you out. So Yurt is quite happy to help out with the rewiring of the power and kind of installing the mods, though she's not super happy about the plants situation. She details it to you, Autumn, kind of in an aside while you're setting things up, just explaining that they never had plants and they still find them really odd. They grew up on a orbital station within the atmosphere of a gas giant, and going in between kind of a gaseous colony form within the gas giant itself and the orbital platform, there's no greenery. So when they first encountered humans and other races and saw these plants, it was kind of like having pets almost, they thought. They didn't understand why you had these green things growing.
Well, they do have a function. They help keep people alive.
How
If you have enough
do
of
they
them.
do that?
Oh, they produce a material that humans especially are fond of breathing.
Oh,
And it also provides physical nutrition if you consume them, depending on the plant.
it's like the gas planktons.
Very similar,
Because they consume the gases and then they excrete out the gas that we use to breathe. Oh,
yeah, it's plankton in other forms.
They never teach about that. That's well, at least when I was in school, they didn't teach us about that kind of thing.
Curious. Well, and also we just think they're pretty to look at.
We have the same thing with kind of condensed gas molecules. We have these, and they pull out this collection of perfectly triangular and octahedral crystals.
Ooh.
And the sound they make is like crystal rain as they roll them around in the hand. Like, I just think they're neat.
I know, they're beautiful. I really like those. I've never seen them before.
Well, if you want, maybe we can officiate a little trade. We can share a little bit about that.
Well, you're welcome to look at the plants anytime. They're around.
Maybe I'll set up a little thing for you.
That'd be fun.
5 batteries, 5 power, and 3 mass. Perfect. Okay. So, wow, that's a lot of power.
We also have another D4, by the way.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Provided we actually get
Nice.
past shipbuilding, we might
I
even,
know.
we might even use it.
It's okay. We'll stock them up.
Yeah. So in total, you have taken away, well, I guess once the hydroponics are up, I won't count the power or mass until it's fully fitted in. Just because I'm not going to worry about fractions or anything. So you've got 5 power and 3 mass taken away, which means you have 5 power left and 10 mass
Reround.
left.
Okay, 10. Cool.
Cool. Yeah, I'd rather take it now. No kidding. So, yeah, is there anything else anyone wants to do with the ship? Or any other planet interactions? Anything else like that?
Not unless we get a lead to another job that could help with additional funding. But I'm pretty
Well,
keen to just get things going.
Go ahead and roll me. Roll me a talk. Anyone who wants to kind of keep your ear out for jobs, roll me a talk or a no.
Talk or no, right?
Yeah. I'd say either with charisma or int if you want to use int.
Same difference.
I could assist someone, but
5 for me, so I don't know anything.
Every time you
I'm
think about
very
doing a job,
distracted.
you're like,
Yeah.
oh, but no, hang on, I have to go take care of this bed now, and
Mm.
yeah, it takes a lot of your days.
Eva might have a look.
You're a little better off. You actually hear word that on the pad kind of docket, it's almost like a forum / Kijiji, for lack of a better term, like Craigslist. So
Okay.
postings will come up and
Crogslist.
Craigslist. Oh, I like that. So you'll see postings come up for lower rank gigs, kind of things that you could, pop off in a weekend rather than a larger task or something that requires more firepower or more skill. Basically the odd jobs section.
Mhm.
And in that, you actually see a listing that's been marked down, but has been kind of pushed out of the listings by higher ones. And it's an emergency broadcast from a distress beacon. So
Okay.
these things will automatically ping up on the list, and anyone who can go out to save them tends to get either a bounty from the pad or from the people they're rescuing themselves. This one specifically says there is a maroon ship just north of the LAC. So for those in the chat and Roll20, it is that hex there, just above the little nodule there on the LAC.
Okay.
And yeah, exactly. It's somewhere in that region of space. And this distress signal is about 4 or 5 days old. So roughly the time that you got Rekis captured and everything was about when this distress signal was sent out. So whether or not the people are still alive is debatable. But there are salvage rights to any ship that you find out in the black, provided you provide necessary paperwork and you didn't kill anyone to get it.
Okay. I could definitely be interested in going to do that.
Okay. You don't get perfect coordinates, but you get where it last sent the emergency beacon from.
Okay. As a last thing to do before we think about leaving port, is there anywhere I could maybe buy another gun from?
Mm-hmm. What kind of guns are you interested in?
Either I currently am carrying a laser pistol. I would like another type of pistol, just so I've got a different type of
like a projectile pistol.
Yeah.
Okay, let me check weapons here, but you can definitely find a purveyor
Ranged
of
weapons.
fine range slingers.
Mhm.
Projectile weaponry, blah, blah, blah. Where are you? So are you looking for a revolver, semi-auto pistol? What piques your interest from page 67 is where all the weapons are.
Maybe like a thermal pistol, actually,
Ooh.
because that could also be useful as like a welder in a pinch if it goes hot
Plasma
enough.
projector. Interesting. Yeah, you could. It might end up overheating or blowing up the gun doing it like that, but in a pinch,
Yeah.
it might work. So you end up finding a gun shop run by a proprietor known as Dartmouth. And this is another... hang on. I always get these two mixed up because I almost called Tychus, by the name Jintai. This is another Jintai, much like Tychus. Dartmouth is much smaller than Tychus. You think they almost might be like the runt of the litter, quote unquote.
Oh.
They're kind of human-sized, but they run shop on the main drag near the starport, and it's Dartmouth's Slingers. So when you come in, you can see Dartmouth behind the counter, some other people picking out. They look to be mostly handheld. They don't do any real fancy guns, but you see a sign in the back that says, looking for something special, ask the clerk.
Come on.
Oh,
Okay.
God, really? Oh, the in-jokes we're throwing. So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll go in.
Okay. Hey, how you doing? Welcome, welcome to Dartmouth Slingers. What can I do for you?
Thank you. I'm looking for something that packs a little bit more punch than this. Kind of open my coat to show the laser pistol.
Oh yeah, the standard J37. Yeah, that's a classic to be sure, but I can understand why you want something a little more poppy.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Hopefully like a thermal pistol or something a bit harder hitting.
You got an eye. Well, I tell you what, I don't have many, but I got a couple in stock. Why don't you come around back?
Okay.
And they lead you around back into a what is kind of a tandem firing range and shop. So on the back wall, there's all the guns, and then there's a firing range just adjacent to it. And yeah, they do have a couple thermal pistols. They've got some really gaudy paint jobs on them. Like they look, for anyone who's played Fallout or other, like the Outer Worlds, they look a little too 80s or 70s neon sci-fi for what you're used to. They're not like just steel plated or black or anything like that. But they're pretty decent, and they say I'll run you about $320, I think. Given recent events, I've had to up prices just a touch.
Sure. How many of those do they have?
They've got 3.
Sorry? I think I'll take 2 of them.
All right. So
yeah, $640.
Did you want to test them out at all, or are you just happy?
Yeah, I'll play in the I'll play in the fire range.
Okay. Yeah, so they give you kind of a free clip basically just to test it out, and it's a lot hotter than you would have thought. The heat is weird. It's not like, oh, there's a burning pot on the stove when you pick it up. It's more like when you touch an electrical socket, it's almost a heat like that. Like a jet engine turning on just instantly.
Okay. And it's kind of like a ball of plasma from what I read of the description.
Yeah, basically. So it's not quite a thermal, but it's magnetically shaped plasma. It fires. It's kind of like a ray gun, for lack of a better term.
Okay. I'll give that a couple of shots, and once I'm satisfied with it, definitely give them the credit chip.
Cool. Yep. So take away 640. It's good to see that all that money is getting spent kind of right away.
Very slowly.
I was worried. I was like, oh, can they get anything? So, with that said, does anyone have anything else they want to do before we take a break? Well, no one will speak up at once.
Nothing hit.
It sounds unanimous. So, folks, now that we've got the ship all sorted out, everyone's been kitted, and we've got the plants growing nicely, I think that's going to be a good time for about a 10-minute break. And we'll see you, we'll see you shortly.
Okay.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome on back. When we just ended, we'd finished fitting out the Ventus, which, by the way, I need to ask if anyone wants to rename the ship. With a armor upgrade, with some emergency thrusters, and the starts of a hydroponics bay, as well as a fancy new paint job. We also found out there was an emergency broadcast sent about a week ago, roughly, let's say about 50 to 100 light years away from their current location on Tartarus. The crew is interested in seeing what's going on, whether it's salvage, because everyone on the ship is presumed dead or gone, or if they are still out there in need of aid. Whether or not the crew has good intentions, I'll leave that up to them. But do you all have an interest in renaming the ship, or are you okay with Ventus?
I mean, Eva suggested a name from our home dialect.
True. Well, I think we'll probably need a group decision on that one.
So
I gotta.
please continue.
Go ahead, Jim.
Have a suggestion.
Mhm.
Call it the Joestar.
Can you
what,
type
sorry?
that out in chat? I think you cut out.
Hold on, let me get that. Let me just.
The Joestar.
Yes.
Is there any particular reason why you suggest that?
Oh, man.
Nani?
Nani?
But
Think
do we
about
get
it.
the bee
Yes.
painting?
Yes.
Do we get what?
Do we
sorry?
get the bee painting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, you do get the big painting.
Yeah. You can definitely
The
be doing that, yeah.
The actual pose is just like one of the super dramatic JoJo poses.
Yeah, they will like ask, okay, I want you all to do a pose, and you're gonna say it like that for the whole time I'm painting you on and no moving.
Oh my goodness. So you've got the crew done up in quite a pose on the side of the ship. And you've got the old paint of Ventus still on the ship there. It's visible and readable.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have an interest in changing the name?
Well, my dad always said that to really get to to really give your ship a name that'll kind of stick, you gotta fly with her for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm
we
on the
rename it
same
after the
board.
mission then.
I think, yeah, once we've gotten to know her a bit more, the name will.
I dig that. Okay, so we are going to say that your spike drive is, well, spike drive, quote unquote. Just for those in the know, the cleave drive that we're using in this is going to function the same as the spike drives in Stars Without Number, just for the moment. We might tweak it in future, but functionally it's the same. It's just a different technology. So your base difficulty for a spike drill. And I am going to go through some other NPC stuff before we jump, just so you know. But for this jump, it's going to be 7 minus 2 because your info is less than a month old. Plus, what is it? Plus 1 because it's 2 hexes away. So that will be, what, 6?
Yep.
So you can easily handle that. You as
my
skilled pilot.
Starfarer focus lets me auto succeed on checks 10 or below.
Which is insane, by the way, because a 10 is a huge roll.
That's the level 1 focus.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So you've got an expert pilot, at least in terms of flying across space. So how do you go about recruiting everyone? Do you just kind of tell them, hey, we'll pay you, etc.? Do you negotiate terms, anything like that?
I think, was it Yurt?
Yeah.
Who I'd been spending some time with. I think I'm going to effectively just try to make friends with them as we try to learn more about these weird cultures that the other person has.
Right.
And then not use that to my advantage, but as a sort of, hey, it would be
As a
nice
stepping
to
stone.
keep working together.
Yeah.
Networking.
Yeah.
Hey, I like
Except
this.
less
I like the
cynical.
synergy we're going. Okay.
And yeah,
I'll
just
say-
sort of, hey, do you want to keep working together?
I mean, honestly, it's kind of slim pickings out there for just a single tech. So if you're
Yeah.
offering, as long as there's pay in it,
Of course.
I'd be happy.
Pay implants. What do you need?
Yeah. So she basically tells you like it'll cost she'll take either 5% of your earning, like what the total like job earning is, or she'll take a special, like if you find a kind of a special piece of tech that isn't pre-tech salvage, she'll take that instead.
Does that sound good to everyone?
5% is reasonable figure, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Yurt happily agrees and joins and starts moving their things in. Tolis has already moved in. Like the first day you chose a ship, Tolis was already there picking out a bunk.
Yeah.
And kind of figuring his way out around the ship because he's like, oh, you know, you guys, this is a really nice ship. I love this ship. It's really tight.
Did Tolis' enthusiasm broke
It's a little
Jay?
cramped.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely thought you froze there.
Oh, did it?
It, it froze in that
Tolis
pose you made.
overloaded your internet.
Just
So my internet's been a little dodgy here. Sorry for that, folks. I'm sure that looked hilarious.
but yeah, Will's definitely like psyched right along with him. Like,
Cool.
I know, I'm so happy to have him.
Yeah.
Shit.
So you two get along quite well with it.
Oh, it feels like it's been forever.
Oh, of course. So now my internet's working, but then my browser does not want to load the chat. So
Oops.
that's lovely. We'll figure that out later. Let me see if I can fix that right now, just with one thing. But sorry,
Yes.
I think I know the thing that it's doing. So if I drop out
So
here,
there's also there's only Tychos left and our two humans.
yes, whose names are escape me at the
Fret-
moment.
Fret and Weirin.
Fred and Weirin, thank you. I have them written down. I just don't know where.
Pain and Panic.
Ah, that's why it's in an entirely different program.
It's so
I do care about
relatable.
the
I do
names.
the same.
Oh my god. Okay, let me find them here because I do.
I think if they want also 5%, it will make easy calculations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would say yeah. Fred and Weirin are willing to take 5% each. Tychus, on the other hand, would like 10.
Oh.
So Tychus again is willing to negotiate, but when it's brought up, Tychus basically says like, I've had a lot of experience doing jobs like this. I've been around the pad about 7 years, and no offense to you, but you are quite new. And if I end up getting blown up, I'd at least like to have some money to send back to the folks for my funeral.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean that means we're giving 25% to our crew, which
Yeah.
I guess is reasonable.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in future, if we renegotiate, if I realize you're all competent, not to say you're not, but you're new. I can tell your pilot knows what he's doing. I can tell you all know what you're doing individually. Flying around in space is a totally different bag.
Mhm.
But should we get into combat, I can probably find the weak point on a ship if I've got enough time.
Sounds useful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all the space on ship is left empty.
Mm-hmm.
You have nice echo.
Yeah, it's very spacious in there.
The moment.
Yeah, the moments. Yeah, there won't be any echoes by the time the hydroponic goes up.
Nope.
Hmm.
Soundproof the entire ship with moss.
There they are. I just didn't put them in the right format.
Oh,
That's
moss! No, moss.
But then no one will hear their screams.
Whose screams? We are the ones on the ship, Luna.
I have concerns.
But listen, what if we were to get ambushed?
Okay, so
And we wouldn't know
Also-
one of our own was going to get attacked in a different room.
This line of questioning is suspiciously well thought out.
Yeah.
I'm I'm just thinking in my head.
Oh god, the Zoom chat is full of good
This-
jokes today.
This doesn't exactly sound hypothetical. Luna.
No, it doesn't. It sounds
No.
like not even theoretical. Darkora just threw the
It's
meme
just a
up of
probability.
the shirt of no fear, and then Luna speaks one fear.
One fear.
Oh wait, I knew.
So if no one has anything else they want to do, then I think we can safely travel towards your
Yeah,
destination.
let's go.
Okay, so
Right.
taking off with the Ventus it's kind of momentous because the last time this ship flew was when it landed here about 5 years ago. A lot of the deck crew have seen this ship rusting off on the side. Everyone in their respective team wanted this thing to run because it's kind of a legend among caravan crews. This was a ship that was still intact after taking what was effectively a shuttle through the side of it. It survived years upon years of abuse and use through the caravan fleets, and if not the oldest, one of the oldest surviving caravan fleets, which is the Iron Maiden. The Iron Maiden was one of the first exploration caravan fleets to kind of go out, and was notably one of the first ones to meet the first alien race, which was the Cordinians. So being part of that ship, or part of that fleet rather, it still has some of the old markings from being in the Iron Maiden. You have actually seen, while you're retrofitting it, you see some old like designs. There's like stickers put up beneath vents somewhere, kind of like when you find tags somewhere where someone's, hidden a little bit here and there. The Iron Maiden voyage, if you will. Well done, well done. But yeah, it starts up beautifully. There's no hitch in the giddy up, as we say here, and you take off.
So Willem is definitely fanboying real hard right now because like there's no way I would not have heard about this ship.
Oh no,
right? Like
this, they sung songs about this kind of ship.
Yeah, and now I'm flying it. Yes.
Don't let your pops down. Don't let your pops down.
Go flip.
I'm
Autumn has probably
taking
not heard
out-
the reference. She's excited anyhow.
Yeah.
I'm taking out my bioscanner to scan Willem.
There's heightened adrenaline, which is weird.
Yeah.
You okay, dude? You seem a little bit hyperactive.
I am more than okay.
Tolus is bouncing back and forth on his feet, like 3 and then 3 and then 3 and then 3. And he's just like, he's not saying words, he's just kind of gibbering like, oh no, it's just,
like
This is like meeting your favorite band backstage. Okay,
Totally.
this is huge.
you
This
need
is
to
more than that.
calm down.
This is more than that. You've joined your favorite band.
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, you're an Iron Maiden cover band.
Mips is making notes about a strange
With like the
Type of
original guitar, pretty
Yeah.
much.
locomotion
Yeah.
sickness.
Oh yeah, locomotion sickness. That's an interesting point.
Or space sickness.
Yeah.
Some strange new
Strange
symptoms.
new feelings.
It's like motion sickness, but in space.
Yeah, it's not comfortable by any means.
Like
Well,
you can't handle the zero gravity, like being lightly. So you suck us back up.
Pardon me. So so you fly up, and then Willem, you engage the cleave drive. And for those of you who haven't been on a ship with a cleave drive, which is probably none of you, but it's still a sight to behold.
Is everyone in?
Go ahead.
Sorry, is everyone in the same general area, or like are people?
Eva is probably in the engine
Spread
room,
out.
focusing on
Okay.
just like
Making sure everything's
micromanaging
running.
every single step and making sure everything runs properly. And
Okay.
Luna's like somewhere off, like just drawing something.
Nice. You have canvas space.
Oh, I'll probably be there to sort of.
Just fake this whole.
I think I'm watching Will fly because I just like seeing his excitement, and I just want to see the ship sort of in action
Mhm.
Like a
after all the
little
time we spent
kid on-
fixing it up.
So the cockpit is full. Back to the rafters.
For anyone not used to these cleave runs, you're gonna want to strap in.
And Tolas actually grabs onto like a couple of bars overhead and starts swinging from them. Well, when you say that, like, what's gonna happen? I never get to be up front when this happens. So activate the cleave drive. It's kind of like being in a speedboat when it's sitting dead, and then you start it up. It's starting to get some weird resistance as you hit the water. And then all of a sudden, all that resistance disappears and light starts kind of bending in front of you. It doesn't quite blue shift as like faster than light might actually do, but you get the sense of traveling much faster than you could in atmosphere, or even just traveling by conventional drives. Everything in space moves in front of you, like you've got kind of that pointed tip going through water. Everything just kind of parts. And even the stars themselves move a little bit weird as you go. It's almost like heat lines. And you having been on a ship like this, having used cleave drives many times before, this kind of jump, it's routine. Like it falls back into a kind of muscle memory almost for you.
Yeah.
And after we'll say about 10 days, you make it there a little quicker than you thought. You end up going all the way out to the distress beacon. You've bypassed the fault. Thankfully, you didn't have to deal with any scrap storms or the like. And by the time you get there, the coordinates that you have, it's empty, dead space. There's nothing here. You're kind of in the in-between space between solar systems even. But you can run a scan and see if there's any debris, any signals, basically scanning for any signs of life. So with that, I would say roll me let me find the skill list here. Where are you? I would say roll me a notice or a program.
Can I help?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I will be rolling program on this.
Yeah, same.
Because I get to use my other focus.
So that's a 12 for me to help.
Maybe not.
All right.
Or, I can take the lead. It's up to you.
No kidding. What do you think, Willem? You want to take the lead, or what do you want to do?
You know what? I got to fly. We'll let Autumn run the sensors.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your aid if you want to aid then. Just to see if that boosts it up anymore. 9?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So it'll be a 13. So it's not quite like a perfect roll, quote unquote, but it's pretty damn close.
I'm close.
Yeah. Having a 12
that's
on
my
that.
average.
Yeah. So on a 12, you notice there is some debris trailing. It's pretty far out from where you are, but it's clear that the ship that was here took off in a direction. And it's like following breadcrumbs, basically. So it takes about another, we'll say, a day and a half to triangulate where the ship is based on debris and other kind of emission reading. But you do find it. And what you find is a cruiser-class ship. And the name of that ship is the Orange Blossom. You can see on the side of it, it's actually got a large flower kind of painted in neon paint on the side, which is sadly worn away by blast scarring and what looks like plasma. The whole cruiser itself it dwarfs your ship easily, but it looks like it's in tatters. You're not sure what happened to it, but it clearly something either impacted or exploded on this ship, and now it is listing ever so gently on a little tilted axis in space. It's very slow rotation.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
Can I recommend we have a look around the area just to make sure that whatever did that isn't still here?
Can I tell what kind of damage? Like, is it external damage? Did
Roll me
something
a notice.
explode? Notice?
Yeah.
Is that wisdom, intelligence? What do you want?
I'd say
me to use?
wisdom. Yeah.
Okay. 13.
All right.
Nice.
From having studied the Ventus while it was getting repaired, this looks a lot like plasma scores. So it's clear something was attacking this ship.
Okay.
It looks probably conventional. It doesn't look like anything you haven't seen, if that makes sense. So it looks like something another ship could have done.
So it's no like no extraordinary other ship, like pretty standard weaponry from the
Yeah, pretty
damage?
standard.
Okay.
Judging by the size, you think it might have been another cruiser. It doesn't look like a fighter did this. It looks like a ship of a similar size did it.
Yeah. Can we just scan the area for other
Yeah,
ships in general?
100%. Roll me another program check for me.
11.
It's pretty dead out here. The systems that are around here they're not podunk by any means, but they're on the fringe of the caravan lines, which means they don't really get a lot of traffic. Therefore, there's not a lot of colonies or other traffic to be had. So for right now, the scanners show all clear. There's no other ships in your vicinity.
Well, I can't find anything else out here either.
While you're at it, can you can we scan that ship, see if anyone's left on it?
I'll give you this one for free. When you were doing the scan check to see if there were any other emissions, anything like that, the sweep of the ship shows that there is something living on it, but it doesn't flag right the way the sensors work. So normally the sensors will say, hey, there's a thermal signature here, there's this much emission, therefore there should be this many people on the ship. It gives you kind of a vague idea. But when you scanned it, you got weird thermal readings. One of them was kind of like spread out across half of the top deck, and another one was localized in one odd shape. It looked too big for most races. And the ship kind of gave you something about this is weird, like a weird error message popped up. But what you saw were about 3 or 4 different thermal signatures. All of them look odd.
Meeps, does this make sense to you? These life forms?
It doesn't look to you, Meeps, it looks kind of familiar, the one that's spread out a little bit. It almost looks like it could have been a Cordinian who spread themselves too thin, so to say. Someone who might have either been exploded or otherwise had to stretch out to cover something. It could be that.
Everything that exists has some explanations, even if Meeps doesn't know what the explanation is.
I meant more if you recognize what kind of life forms it might be.
Well, it might be one life form, it might be many life forms. We can always go and take a look.
Autumn translates this as a no, I don't know, but it takes her a while to get there.
I think that was me for further information needed.
Yeah.
Further translation.
Much. Well, do we try to communicate? Do we just go in?
I'll say that when you did the scan, you weren't picking up any comm signals.
Okay.
So the emergency buoy that you had before it was kind of an echo. There's nothing communications-wise coming from the ship. Doesn't even really look powered for the most part. There's some lights on, not a lot. It doesn't look fully powered by any means.
Well, Meeps doesn't know, so Meeps wants to see and learn. We need to go there.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah, if I can get out of the bridge, I might be able to get some sort of log as to what happened here. But yeah, from out here, we're not going to get much.
Okay.
Okay, then let's go and see. Find somewhere to dock.
Okay. The ship's spinning slowly enough that you can get there. I'll say it takes about the rest of the day, quote unquote. Days are weird in space because there's no, obviously, sun. But yeah, it takes about half the day to really line up and get a good spot to connect, get that positive connection. Pardon me. But you do dock, and the spot that you dock at least has atmosphere. So you don't have to worry about having your helmets on in this area, provided that obviously the oxygen is working. But it doesn't, turn into vacuum as soon as you open the airlock.
That's good.
Well, that's good.
Who all is going out?
Yeah.
Eva's the one with the defenses. Well, and Luna.
Hmm.
I don't know how Luna is in close quarters, but
Very deadly.
Yeah.
she's a
I
hell of a shot at range. I know that.
I have arms. I have 4 arms. I can probably do some damage with them.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, so who all is going out? Just speak up, and that way we know who's the away
Yep,
team.
definitely
who's
Eva.
I'll
I'm
go
definitely
in.
going.
Okay.
I'm
So we
in.
got Meeps, Ava, Autumn, and Luna. Will, are you going as well?
I would say we probably we could take some support from outside in ships with weapons.
true.
It may be a necessity.
Yeah, I might have to stay with her.
Okay. Yeah, it's
And if,
hard to peel you away.
Do you
Yeah.
want me to stay here, or do you want me to go?
Someone with some computer knowledge might want to be on board. So if you
You can always send
want to go,
crew members as well.
that's true.
Because I mean, if needs be, we can always come back for you. If we can find a particularly difficult bit of tech, we can come back and get you to give us a hand.
And salvage will take time.
Yeah.
A ship this big, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
how are
happy
you with
either way.
software?
Sorry.
I'm more of a hardware person, but
Okay.
I can do it if needed. I'm not great at it though.
Well, I'll go in that case because Eva is better with hardware than I am.
Mm.
Yeah, hardware's my thing. So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
yeah, you're definitely getting there.
I mean, plants are software, right?
Yeah. Trees are
So-
hardware.
Trees are hardware. God. Oh boy. So you suit up from the locker. Everything fits. You made sure of that before you left,
Mhm.
and you go through the airlock. Do you have your helmets on or off? Just so I know to describe this
On.
or not.
On until we've got a confirmation that the air's
Yeah.
breathable.
Exactly.
Cool. So you get in, and once you're in there, Will and basically everyone else that's scanning, you can tell the air is breathable. It's stale, but at least in this portion, it is breathable.
Like, do our helmets eventually run out of power, or?
Yeah, eventually your contained oxygen will run out. For you, Autumn specifically,
Yeah.
it will probably take a lot longer.
Okay.
But we'll say you'd have to retrofit your suit with like UV lights or something to really make yourself immune to the effects of losing oxygen.
Yeah.
And then that will be question of power.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that'd be
No,
some costly
in that
upgrading.
case, I'm going to keep it on for now because I
Okay.
don't trust this weird.
That's fair. You found a derelict
Mm.
ship in the middle of space. It could catastrophically vent at any point.
Sure. Do we have an idea of the layout? How to get to?
So when you scanned it, the cruiser itself has 7 levels. The top level that you docked at is kind of the engineering / service / maintenance, the kind of the general workabout area. This is where they would launch any small fighters that they had. And you do know that there are 2 fighter bays that are kind of parallel to the hallway you're in. There's also some maintenance bays and a couple of bunks and storage rooms and things like that. It's very big, is the thing. So at the end of the hallway, there is a service elevator going down, which should at least bring you to the next 3 levels. The level below this is the engines. Level below that is kind of the command level. So cockpit, sensors, things like that. Plants are hardware. The levels below that are either bunks or other extraneous systems like that.
And what does the basic power seem like? Like, are we on emergency lighting?
You're on emergency lighting in this section, yeah.
Okay. So we
so
might
you've
need to
got-
do something to get the power back on
Yeah.
to a reasonable level. So
Yeah.
maybe get to the engines.
Did you say fighter bay?
Yep, there were 2 fighter bays on this level.
Mm.
Is anything inside them?
So I'll give you the look of the ship when you come in. So when you come in, the inside of the ship is obviously it's dim because you're on emergency lighting, and you don't hear any sounds aside from obviously your own footsteps, but you get this sense of the ship. You know, when you walk into a very large space and there's nothing, like a large empty warehouse, and there's nothing in it, you get that sense of vast, like just empty space. You get that as soon as you walk into the cruiser, kind of like someone's left the door open. But
not.
yeah, in terms of rooms, the 2 fighter bays are open. They've got kind of walls coming in, but the bay doors to them are open, and you can easily walk into those. The other doors are all shut. The keypads look non-responsive. Inside the fighter bays, you see 2, we'll say kind of small interceptor class ships. They look in working order for any purpose. They don't look like they've taken any damage or are dismantled by any means. And they are also inoperable because of the lack of power. Like the keypads or any terminals, none of them are on right now.
Yeah, highly recommend we get to the engine room then. Try and get some power back.
I think that might be our best bet.
Okay. So if you go down to the hall at the end, you find the turbo lift, which is again not operable, but the doors to it are open. There's no actual elevator in it though. So basically the doors are open, but the elevator is missing.
Oh, and a pretty important question nobody asked. Artificial gravity?
No, you're free floating.
Oh.
I'm glad you asked.
That's good to hear.
That changes the turbo lift situation quite significantly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're free floating in this section. Thank you for reminding me, because I'm like, wait, yeah, ships.
Which level for the engines? Sorry.
Engines will be 1, 2, 3rd floor.
And we're currently on
first, let's say.
First floor. Okay.
So going up.
Okay. So,
I think.
Well, going up or down. When you're in 0 grav, it's all the same. But yeah, so you go down. By the time you get to the 3rd one, you found the elevator, and it looks as though it's a little jaunty in 0 grav. It's kind of bouncing back and forth against the walls dully. You can hear that in the space. It's kind of just rattling almost in its housing. And yeah, you can go into the third deck, let's say.
Do I hear anything coming from inside the turbo lift as we go past it?
Roll me a notice, or if there's a here, roll me that instead. But I think that's under notice, yeah.
Nine, if I use wisdom.
9. You think you might hear something, but it kind of sounds like it's loose equipment. Like there's a flashlight or a wrench or something bouncing around inside it. It's very occasional though. It's only when you think whatever it was gets to the other side.
Okay. Another question relative to the parts we are in. Where were the life signs detected?
The life signs you
supposed
detected,
life signs.
Yeah, one of them was on engineering, so the 3rd deck. 2 of them were on the command deck, which is a deck below this. And then the one below that was kind of in the bunks / storage / other section of the ship.
But one was in engineering, so we are going.
The one in
anyway.
engineering was the one that was very spread out. That was the first one you noticed on the scanners.
I am going to, probably more out of curiosity than anything, as we sort of go out, I'm going to knock on the turbo lift.
Okay.
Just enough to create a little bit of a sound to see if something responds in there.
So you knock on it, and the turbo lift moves ever so gently down from the force. and you don't hear any other sounds from it. You hear, like, obviously as it's moving down, whatever was inside bump up against the ceiling of it, but there's no reply per se. There's no
Okay.
like call and reply noise.
Cool. Just in case there was some non-sentient, like
Right.
non-life form in there, like a
Right,
robot or
right.
something.
Yeah, so if you're all going into third deck, down here the lighting's a little better. That's mostly because there's more strips, not so much that there's more power, but it's a little better lit, and it's weird. The cruiser itself looked a lot bigger width-wise, but you're mostly heading down hallways with occasional rooms off to the side. It looks like a lot of this cruiser's bulk was just in sheer plating or in kind of wiring behind the walls. But as you go down, you do see something about halfway down the deck. This deck is quite a bit bigger than the top with the hangars. It's about twice the length, I would say. And about halfway down, you see what you think was what you saw in the thermal scanner. It's kind of almost like a growth sort of thing. It's very irregularly spread around the entire corridor.
Is it fungal?
Roll me a notice with -2, because you're pretty far and it's hard to tell from this distance.
So essentially now Otton will ask, is it me? And now then
Yeah.
Mitch will ask, is it me?
Yeah, exactly. Which plant-like thing is it? Holy shit.
Wow.
No, hang on, it's added a plus. Yeah, no, that's accurate.
yeah,
It's a
holy
10.
crap.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. So with a 10, it doesn't look like it is fungus, but it does look fungal, if that makes sense. The way it's spread out looks like it could be fungal, but everything about it does not say like, oh yeah, this is something that grew.
So Mips has tool that could probably have some better reading here, bioscanner.
Sure, yeah, if you want to get close to it and bioscan it. You'll have to be within kind of like 3 meters to scan it.
Sure.
So yeah, as you get closer to bioscan it, you can see that clearly this thing is or was alive. It looks like someone was made of putty and then was kind of evenly distributed in the hallway.
Ew, they melted.
Yeah. And then they obviously kind of solidified to the hallway.
Okay.
You don't see any signs of, like an arm sticking out or anything like that. It's all pretty uniform. But yeah, when you scan it, good.
It's not
Is there-
Cordinian tissue.
Is there any like stiff like object nearby so we could try to poke it to see if it's like alive or anything?
Yeah, there's some equipment floating through the hall. You could easily just kind of poke at it.
Luna grabs it to poke at it to see if it's like dead or alive.
Okay, so when you do that, and Meeps, this is as you're scanning it, the scanner does come back that it's alive. And when you poke it, Luna,
But
the ship... Good.
What with my next question? More to say. A first question: Is it Cordinian?
It is. And when you poke at Luna, it doesn't scream, but the deck plates under you feel like they're screaming. It's like if someone put their mouth against a wall and started screaming at you.
Okay.
Do you guys hear that?
Yeah,
Wait.
stop poking it.
I wish I didn't.
Wait. Okay.
How happened to know it's gonna scream when I poked it?
Please stop doing that.
Okay, and then drops the stick thing on the ground.
Okay, so it kind of
It's off.
just bounces slowly down the hall.
Meeps, is there anything you can do?
I'm taking my glove off and touch it to facilitate communication via biochemistry.
As soon as you touch it, the scream that was coming through the deck plate, that is all you hear.
I think they're in pain.
I mean, wouldn't you be?
I mean, I would be in pain if I was trying to discount putty, but
So, is it able to communicate with me, or
If it is, it's just screaming at you. It doesn't. This individual doesn't seem like they're either capable or willing to do anything but scream.
Can we
okay?
try to take a sample to see what happened to it?
Well, technically, by the description of my species, I provided. Well, I should be capable of scooping little piece of it and consuming it, and granting
Basically. Yeah.
some
Cool.
memories.
Yeah. So if you want to do that, we'll do some rolls for that.
Mm,
All right.
So
Move's gonna eat some
you scoop a
honey.
little bit. It's a bit harder than you thought it would be. Normally, when you do this kind of thing, your soft tissue can actually just easily, but it's almost like it's been calcified. Like it's a lot
Oh,
harder than it should.
thermal processing. That
Mhm.
that hurt.
Yeah, kind of like baked. Yeah. So go ahead and roll me a Constitution check.
Constitution check. Constitution check.
Mm-hmm. Should just be able to click on the word itself.
I don't think we
That's
can.
what
Or
I
is that
thought.
or is that a save? Hang on.
We
I know there
can
was-
save, but we can't do a check. So it'd just be 2d6 plus.
Yeah,
plus
if
your
there's
con mod,
saves,
I
just
guess.
do that instead. Actually,
Got
So,
physical,
physical
mental-
physical
save?
saving throw. Yeah. 9 versus 13. So you eat it.
It's
It goes into your body, and normally this would be a pretty simple process, but it gets about halfway down and then gets stuck. And then you feel like it's starting to grow in size.
Don't.
It grows to about the size of a fist and then stops growing. Obviously, this doesn't affect your ability to breathe per se, but there is now kind of a fist size lump in your chest.
Right in my chest.
Can we
Well,
see
wherever
the
you
lump?
consumed it. Sorry.
With hand.
With that, well, yeah. So there's now a fist sized lump in your hand.
So I can't connect with it.
No.
Is it
Can you-
hydration? Has it been? Are you rehydrating it? Is that why it's?
I think it gained some energy, but it's too damaged to communicate. But I will check some things. Please don't poke. This being might be still rescuable.
But it's fun to poke though.
And I'm scanning my this lamp.
Okay.
Autumn is trying to, like. Is it withered?
It looks like it's like
It looks
regular
like it was
flesh, but
baked.
just.
Like it kind of looks like if you
Yeah,
if you
it's
spread
more
someone out.
Autumn's referencing points are a bit
Yeah. For you, it
off
looks like it's
sometimes.
like almost sunburnt, sort of.
It looks like slime, but not really.
Well,
Mm.
for Mips, it's only a question of whether it's still alive or it's not. If is it not alive?
For Meeps, when you scan the lump, it does not flag as alive on the bioscanner anymore.
You fucking killed it.
The
Okay.
hallway still does, but the lump in your hand doesn't.
Can I like try to fly over the flesh to see if there's like anything
that-
that might have happened to the other
So
side?
we need to
Go ahead, Egnor Alex.
have some sort of establish some more data about this species.
Mhm.
Do I know something from my old knowledge about such a state of our species? How can our species reach such a state
And still be alive.
and
Yeah.
still be alive?
Roll me a no check on that. And Luna, if you want to fly over it, you can. Yeah.
I'm gonna fly over it to see if there's like anything that across from where we are to see if there's anything that's gonna happen to give us a clue.
Okay. Let's see here. Will it feel better if we water it? Um,
That's roughly what she's
That's
like.
so-
It's
that's so
bad.
cute.
It's dehydrated. Maybe we add water.
aw. And water fixes everything, unless there's too much water.
Right? That's what you
With
do.
an 8, you haven't heard of something like this. You do know that if your species gets, like there's too much heat or plasma or even electricity, that they can be affected by it, but you've never heard of this kind of caking, for lack of a better term, happening.
Are there
Well,
are there any other signs of like explosion or burning or anything like that around the corridor?
There are no scorch marks in this corridor.
Are
So-
there any broken vials or anything around?
Roll me a notice check, Luna.
So
Alright.
essentially, there are only two possibilities. It's either life or it's not life.
Right.
That would.
And the hallway is still flagging as alive to your bioscanner.
I got a 5.
Mm,
Yeah, it doesn't look like any broken vials or any other kind of equipment of that nature.
So,
And
can you help me? Oh, sorry.
Hmm?
Right, not this voice.
Can you help me gather it around? Scrape it from the walls.
So do we just get a?
well, that
So we just get a broom and just tear down.
gently, probably.
Yeah, we
Are
can.
you sure that won't hurt it? It screamed when Luna poked it. Can you?
And that was like a barely light poke. I like tapped it and it screamed.
Mm.
Can you? Can you make it feel less pain?
Do we have any anesthesia with us so I can inject it into it?
Yeah, I'd say you have if you brought a med kit with you, you have something that could be. You might have to use a lot of it. Is the issue? Just given how spread out it is, you don't know how
Wait.
that's going to translate.
Hold on. Does Luna still have the tranquilizer darts she had? Did they have the bifle? The whole mission
Yeah, you've
before?
probably got like a handful left.
Can I try using one of them on the thing?
You could absolutely try that. Yeah.
Alright, let's roll.
Just roll me a dexterity.
Alright.
So just 2d6
that-
plus your dex.
Alright.
Sorry.
21.
Plus the modifier. Sorry. I was like, how did you get a 21 on a 2d6?
So, an
So
8,
seven,
yeah.
7 plus your modifier. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a
And
plus one.
At 14, the mod's a 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
8's total.
So 8. Okay.
Mm.
So on an 8, yeah, you can find a few spots that you can inject tranquilizer, and it obviously doesn't move, so you're not sure if it worked. But the bioscanner does register that the readings are less. How to describe? Like it's less active. It looks like it's working.
Alright, begin scraping, guys.
Or maybe
Well,
leave it
okay.
until we've got a bit more information about this place. I mean, if it's unconscious, then it's in stasis at least.
It's like knocked out of a life. This stuff's like strong, so we should be able to scrape it off without us screaming.
so maybe you take care of engines. Maybe let's
Ah.
Okay, I'll go and find the engines, shall I?
I'm gonna look sort of between Meeps and Eva and go, where can I help?
You can come with me to the engines if you like, or you can help Meeps and Luna sort this out. It's entirely up to you.
Meeps, are you okay with the two of you? I don't want anyone walking alone or floating.
Well, Nips is not sure about whether we are still capable of helping this creature. But my species is of planet. Gravity can't hurt it. It can only help.
Okay.
Go fix
in
engines and
that
power.
case, I'm going with Eva and seeing if I can help.
Okay, so we've got Eva and Autumn heading to the engines, and Luna and Meeps kind of helping this this Cordinian. So we'll go with Luna, sorry, with Autumn and Eva first to the engines. As you're going down the deck, again, you can really only hear what's going on with your friends. There's no other noises or things like that. It's eerily silent for a ship this big. But as you go down, you find what looks to be the engine room. There are 3 large kind of turbines that are set up in parallel.
Right.
And each of those looks to be, it's dark in here, but it looks as though they're all stationary. They don't look like they're
Okay.
moving.
Try and get to like the the master control console.
Okay.
Try and get this thing spinning up to give us the minimum amount of running power it needs.
Right. Okay. Roll me a no, actually. And I would say, Autumn, you can help on this too. This is knowing where that might be and how you might access it.
Okay. No plus int.
Yep.
I guess. Okay. I got an 8.
Yeah, no.
4, yeah. You've never been on a ship this big, let alone in the engine room. This is like, cruisers are not necessarily far and few between, but they're rarely seen outside of either a caravan fleet or a military fleet. They're pretty sizable. For with an 8, I'm going to say it takes a while. There's a lot of false panels that look like they could be the right master control, but it takes you about 10 minutes to find it. So while that's going, Luna and Meeps, how are you dealing with this Cordinian?
Try to gather in like a container or something like that.
Okay. You find some like larger. Have you ever seen those totes that they use to ship liquids, like 200-liter big kind of translucent totes?
Kinda.
I'll find a picture of it here, but this is what you get when you work in warehousing. Liquid totes. So there's a few of those sitting around in the engineering bay. And you think one of those should fit the Cordinian size-wise. It's about the size of Meeps. If you kind of compacted him into a square, or them. So yeah, you can use one of those. How do you go about? Are you just kind of like putting a shovel to the Cordinian and tossing it in the tote? How do you want to do that?
This will work.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll say it takes about 5-10 minutes to do that. And while you're doing it, there's no other screams or other noises from the Cordinian. It's kind of like picking up cement that's been spread over and then allowed to harden. So you have to chip it a bit off the walls, but this doesn't seem to damage or otherwise hurt the Cordinian. And you actually get it all stuffed into the tote. It's kind of like putting rocks into a box, basically.
A box of rocks.
Yeah. So you've got a big old box of rocks.
So, wait.
We don't need the parts that have hardened. You can throw those away.
Luna, do you throw the parts away?
We only need the fluidic living part.
Yeah, so when you dig over the calcified surface, you do find like a gummier version of it. It's not really flesh, but it's liquidy.
It's sticky.
It's sticky.
It won't get off the shovel. It used to be like Luna like trying to shake it off into like to put it in tow. Like
knowing that this is a living being is pretty disconcerting.
Because Luna doesn't think about a lot of things.
Sticky. Oh, and then you're like, oh.
The entrails won't come off the shovel.
Yeah. So cutting back to you, Eva and Autumn, you did find the master control. It's an analog thing, so it's kind of like a fuse blocks, but much bigger and much more complex.
Okay.
Can you roll me a fix? And Autumn, you can roll an 8 on this.
I'll let Autumn roll first.
or vice versa.
10. Final.
Nice. Oh, well done. That'll be a +1.
+1. Submit.
Hey,
Nice.
with a 12, you managed to get it up to running lights.
Cool.
You're on what you would define as like impulse power at best,
Mhm.
but it's above emergency.
Cool. So we'll be to the point where we'll get gravity soon. We'll get proper lighting.
Yeah. So when that
Hopefully
happens,
proper environment control.
you hear kind of overhead, you hear the garbled voice of gravity, please on to the sides, and the gravity re-engages. You feel yourself kind of not hard, but it's a firm push back to the deck, and all the other equipment kind of clatters back to the deck as well.
Oh yeah, probably
And,
kind of.
Whoa. You also hear vents starting up. You hear some other machinery starting to whir. The turbines kick in. 2 of them start up, not the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And the sound in there isn't deafening, but it's quite loud. It's kind of like being in a. It's like being when you have a hood open on a car and you start running it. It's kind of like that. It doesn't sound muffled.
Fantastic.
It sounds quite loud.
Okay. Unless there's anything else you want to hear, Autumn?
Can we see, do we get any readings from where the other life signs were? Like, are there any alerts going off?
Where you're at, some of the terminals do come on and you see some flashing errors about the 3rd turbine not working. You also see some errors about, clearly there's been ship damage, and you do hear a warning of proximity breach, venting in progress, but they specify the lower decks. So it's clear there's no breach up here, because otherwise you wouldn't have atmosphere to begin with. But it sounds as though there's a leak below decks.
Okay. Do we know where the environmentals are controlled from? Oh, by
There went
What
our
happened?
GM.
wherever he
think-
went to, apparently.
I think
Oh,
the internet dropped out or
Jay
something.
pooped.
The monster got him.
We won't be able to do it without them.
Oh no. Now
Sorry
we're just
about that,
like,
everybody. We're this is Raven. We're working on getting.
what's the
Jay
figure
back.
speech? I'm trying to remember.
Zoom definitely just crashed on me. Sorry, folks. Says Jay.
well,
I don't know, but we've lost our cat wrangler. Looks like it was just a Zoom crash, according to Twitch chat. So
Okay, cool.
hopefully they'll be back shortly.
Yeah. I'll just tell
So,
you and go.
so-
I'm not really. These are.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can program anything out of this. Well, we'll wait for our GM to get back. I'll try to radio
Sure.
to Will and just go, can you see anything different on the readings? Are all the life signs still there when you scan? Because I'm not sure we can do that from in here. So,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I'll kind of recap when they get back, but I basically would have been trying to analyze as much as possible, like trying to get Tychus to figure out whether it was a hit or an explosion, all that kind of
There we
stuff.
There we are.
Sorry about that. Zoom just straight up hard crashed on me.
The
Fun.
sun has returned.
Yeah.
Yay,
So,
I'm GM.
Yeah, you're GM.
Oh no.
Do
Well,
we get a
Alex, take us
switch?
away.
So the question I asked both
Yeah.
to Eva and also radioing Will is if they can see any change in the life signs on board after we
Okay.
turned on gravity. Because smashing down if you're badly
Right.
injured could,
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, you radio Will. Will roll me a program check with a +1 because you've got Yurt there helping.
Sure. Yeah. I had also, while they were kind of exploring, I would have wanted to have, I lost his name again. Tychus maybe try to analyze the damage, like
Sure.
scans of the damage to the ship, and see if it was an external or internal force.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Maybe try to get the origin of whatever damage that was. basically just trying to use all of the sensor readings that we have to kind of
Right.
get a sense
Get
of
a
the big
feel,
picture of
yeah.
what's going on. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I will also say, yeah, if you want to do any precognition about anything about that, perfect. Thank you, Raven. Feel free to roll a precog check on that as well. About kind
Okay.
of what has happened and what's going to happen, if anything.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah,
all right. So
Tychus.
the program was a 10.
Okay. We're gonna roll. Oops, 2d6, not 1d10. 1. Okay, so it'll take him a little bit of time to do it, but by the time that you get the power back on the ship, Tychus gives you the sense that the ship's explosions happened kind of both ways. So there was clearly
Okay.
plasma from outside, but inside something else was going on, and he can't. I can't figure out exactly what it was. It's weird. The readings don't make sense because it says there was plasma shot from inside the hull, but no, there's no guns in there that could even produce something like this, and there's no damage to the engines that could make that kind of, electricity.
Huh, that is strange.
Yeah.
And then the readings probably would see that power go on, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Around the same time. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, looks like they got the engine started up and nothing exploded, so that's a plus.
There is a big gaping hole in the
it's
bottom,
not.
though.
I mean, yes, but there's not
There's-
another one, which
No,
is
that's
what
true.
I'm
It was
more
already
concerned
here
with.
when we came.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
It
Existing
sounded that
damage.
way.
It's not part of the damage deposit.
Yeah. Let me roll that other thing. What stat for the precog roll?
Precog. Let me check your sheet here real quick. This is the first time we've done any psionics.
Yeah.
Psionics are go to character. No worries. Where the hell is that? I would say for this one, I'd say wisdom.
Sure.
Yeah. Oof. Stomach. I know we're hungry.
Go.
Just kind of came up all of a sudden.
Cancel that. Start that. Go. Nope. It's a 5.
Okay. So you do get a vision, but the vision you get is kind of from the perspective of outside the ship. It's almost like you have a hull camera on your ship.
Okay.
And you watch as you see something resembling like a humanoid form get jettisoned out of the bottom of the ship. So
Disturbing.
that pops into your head as you do that. In terms of life signs, though, when the power came on, the life signs changed.
Of course they did.
So the one on the very bottom decks started moving. The one in command didn't start moving, but started growing in size.
What in the?
The one on the engineering deck is gone. And I think that's where we're going to leave it for tonight.
Perfect.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's exactly how it should have ended. Good.
Yeah.
With Will terrified. Fantastic.
I'm glad.
Great, may just have murdered an innocent being.
Who knows?
Wait, we what?
No,
Is that
it's not possible.
is that where they found the baked
Cordanian?
meats for?
It
Yeah.
was.
Okay.
So, with all that said, let's roll through our outros. You can ask as many questions as you want, but I'm not answering.
Bless Jay, but want to know.
That's what you have to come back for. I've got to keep reeling you back in every week.
Oh.
So we're going to go reverse on the order this time. Jem, why don't you start us off? Tell us who you are, what you do, and where we can find you next.
Hi, my name is Yola Jim. I am an animator, and you can find me under Dylan Jim on YouTube for my
We're having a little technical difficulties.
Yeah.
You're a little robot-y there, Jim. Sorry.
You're a lot roboty, actually. I didn't hear a single word. I heard animator.
There we go.
Ah.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
The Only Gem is an animator. You can find him on The Only Gem on YouTube.
Say it again.
Oof.
Props not.
Maybe not. I don't know if it's going to come through. Maybe
found on
drop it in
YouTube.
chat.
Yeah. Yeah, just drop it in chat. Go ahead, and we can read that out for you, Jim. Sorry about that. Zoom apparently is having issues with everyone today, it would seem.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to ask Jim, what was your favorite part?
Has to be having to paint a big portrait of everybody posing on the side of the ship.
I like that.
So tell you,
Yeah.
the
So
robot.
just for anyone listening, it was Luna posing everyone and then painting that on the side of the ship. Rolling on to Chabi. Who are you? Where can we find you next? What do you do? And what was your favorite part?
I am Chabi. I go by Hallway Secrets here on Twitch, Hallway 7 Secrets over on Twitter. I am somewhat of a hobbyist variety streamer, kind of just starting on that one. This is my only recurring role, but I've been doing a bunch of one-offs on channels here or there. You can find me next tomorrow on The Other Duck. We'll be playing a one-shot of One Last Fight, I believe is the name of the... Yeah, One Last Fight. It is a game about an adventuring party going after the BBEG one last time for a big battle. So it'll be fun. That's going to be tomorrow at Otherdoc, twitch.tv/Otherdoc at 2 p.m. EST. And then after that, you'll find me either on my stream or here. My favorite moment has to be spaceship. Spaceship. Getting a spaceship. Yes, perfect. And then finding out that it was such a cool piece of like inverse history was really cool. I enjoyed that.
Perfect. Darkora.
I'm Darkora. I'm Darkora on Twitch. I'm Darkora with an underscore on Twitter. Hey, that rhymed. The only place you'll really find me regularly is here at the moment, so I'll be here for our next session. My favorite moment, I think I loved when we finally got into the air and we got everything started and you had the whole crew together. That was really cool. Enjoyed that a lot.
Right on. Polished.
We dropped Gem, by the way.
Again, yeah.
Gosh, my favorite part, I think, was just sort of the whole excitement of getting the ship ready and finally off the ground. Like, we invested so much care into that. So I was very excited. You can find me in another 3 or 4 hours or so on my own channel, which is twitch.tv/polishedcryptid, playing in a one-shot of They Came From Beneath the Sea.
Now, just so I'm clear, that's not the game I'm also in, or is that tomorrow?
No, that is today.
That is today.
Yeah.
Because I was
kind of alarmed that that's the look on your face now.
I'll have to talk to you after this is done.
Oh, great fun.
Oops, it's all right. We'll figure something out. Don't worry. And to finish us off, Econorlax.
Am I muted?
No, you're
I'm
not.
not.
Nope.
I'm Econorlax. You can find me here and on Twitter. And my favorite moment was... It's very specific. It was Tolis when we were going into when we are engaging the cliff drive.
Okay, and we dropped the gem again. I think there's just been some issues today across the board.
They are The Only Gem. They're an animator. You can find them under the name The Only Gem on YouTube. That is the intro that they posted for me.
And I am Jay. I am your faithful GM and possibly co-conspirator You can find me here on Tuesdays and Saturdays at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Saturdays for the game that I run here, and then the game that I am in at 7 p.m., which is partially where the issue runs into today. And Tuesdays at 7 p.m., these are all Mountain Standard Time on Tuesdays here at this channel. I've said that about 3 times. My favorite part, I think I'd have to say, was kind of watching you all get used to the ship, deciding, bringing crew members on. It was cool to see that you wanted to bring the NPCs on, because I will admit, I threw them together and didn't expect them to have too much beyond this. Tolis, I had a feeling was coming along, kind of whether you wanted him to or not. But it was cool to see the crew come together after that job and get not only used to each other, but get well acquainted with a ship and kind of be excited about it. You don't see that often when you play a game. Yeah, so that will be us. And Raven, take it away.
All right, that was a lot of fun to listen to and watch. We got to see a lot of like a kid in a candy store type stuff with the ship, and that was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. But we're gonna go on a raid before our next game. So our raid cry is, "Oh my God, you're an Iron Maiden cover band." And then be sure to head back at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for Animus Absentus, which is another sci-fi game, because we do sci-fi Saturdays now. Another sci-fi game using the fundamental RPG system, and that will be a lot of fun. Everybody, as far as player characters go, don't have memories of who they were. They sort of just all showed up on a spaceship together, woke up and went, who are all of you and what are we doing here? So they managed to escape their first real challenge, sort of get through the tutorial section of this campaign over the first couple of sessions, and now we're moving into them kind of figuring out what they want to do. So it's going to be pretty interesting. So definitely be sure to swing back by for that. Again, that's 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we're going to go raid the Onyx Path. They make a game that we've played on here before. They came from Beneath the Sea, as well as a couple other pretty cool games. So we're going to go give them a raid. Definitely give them a follow if you're not doing so already. And then I will see you all in a couple hours. Bye.